he does these experiments where he takes people into the NIH, into the hospital, hospitalizes them for several weeks so he can exactly control what they eat. And he did this beautiful experiment where basically he had chefs prepare two kinds of food, one ultra-processed and the other not ultra-processed, sort of more whole foods, more healthier foods, but had them take a lot of care so that when they gave the foods to independent raters, to people to test, they would say, this is about equally palatable. So I like this ultra-processed dish as much as this non-ultra-processed dish.
What's an example of an ultra-processed dish? Like a out-of-package macaroni and cheese?
Exactly, that kind of stuff.
With bacon kind of thing?
Exactly.
Versus some pasta sitting next to a vegetable and a nice piece of salmon or something?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Allowed them to eat just as much as they would like, first of the ultra-processed meals. So they had the selection of ultra-processed meals for a couple weeks, and then switched them to the non-ultra-processed meals, and then also did it in the reverse order. So the other half of the people, they got the regular food first, then they got the ultra-processed food. And what he found is that even though people rated the foods as equally palatable, they ate much more of the ultra-processed food, and they actually gained weight during that 2-week period when they were being given the ultra-processed foods. And then when you switch them, they lost weight. So the idea being that you can have two sets of food that you sort of have equal preferences for, but something about the ultra-processed food is making you eat more of it when you actually consume it. Mm-hmm. And there's a number of ideas about why that could be. So one idea is that these ultra-processed foods have been optimized to have the right percentage of fat and sugar and protein to sort of promote more consumption once you start eating it, so that could be part of it. Another idea is that, a big thing about whole foods is that they take more energy to digest and they have more volume. So one of the striking things from that study is if you just look at the pictures of the meals, they're the same number of calories, but there's so much more food, seemingly, on the non-processed food versus the ultra-processed food. And that's just because whole foods are bigger, because they're not so energy dense. So, and we know that, for example, volume is a major signal in the short term for regulating food intake. So if you just eat more volume, that could be valuable. And there's lots of things like that. So I think that's another plausible hypothesis, but the truth is we don't really know.
I have a hypothesis, and I don't want to force you into speculation, but given that you've studied and discovered that the neurons and circuits involved in appetitive and consummatory behaviors can learn based on experience and expectation, I think it's fair game to at least ask your thoughts on this.